Okay, it's 1:02. I think we can start. Thank you so much for coming and joining us. I hope you are all well and in good spirit as we gather today, a diverse group of individuals with unique expertise and experience. It is a privilege to welcome each and every one of you to our event today that holds both significance and purpose. In the midst of approaching holiday season, where many of us anticipate a joyous gathering with family and friends, it's important to take a moment to reflect on the harsh reality and exist for millions of people around the world who are being displaced. Every passing minute brings new stories of displacement, individuals torn from their homes, separated from their loved ones, and left without the warmth of shelter or the comfort of nourishing meal. Today, we come together not only to celebrate community and shared meals, but also to turn our collective attention towards those who find themselves in the shadows of displacement, desperately in need of our support. It is in this moment, against the backdrop of our own holiday festival, that we aim to make our gatherings more meaningful by raising awareness about the plight of refugees. With no shelters to seek refuge, no warm meals to state the hunger, and often not even the presence of family. These individuals face unimaginable challenges, yet in the spirit of solidarity, we can make a difference. During today's webinar, we will unveil the Dine for Refugee Toolkit, a comprehensive guide providing you with everything you need to plan a successful gathering event. For sample materials to conversation guide and other essential tools, we aim to empower you to host an evening that not only nourishes the body, but also feeds the soul with sense of purpose and compassion. Our esteemed speakers for today is Mana Kashifi, the Vice President of Content and Communication with Welcome.us, and Daniela Westphal-Huber, Senior Manager of Welcome Corps at Welcome.us. This webinar is part of our ongoing series, Community Conversation, a platform where we come together monthly to explore sponsorship initiative, discuss community impact, and hear from experts on variety topics related to community sponsorship in the United States. And really lets us use the power of community conversation and shared meals to create a ripple of awareness and action. And before I really start our program today, I want to, if we can go to the slide of logistics for the day, Beza. We want to make sure that you're all aware that you will receive the link of today's recording, the slides, and the slides via email after the session. There will be also a Q&A session at the end of the conversation, so feel free to add your question in the Q&A feature. And before we start talking about the toolkit, I want to give a Welcome Corps one-on-one to our attendees, just to really, if you have missed learning about the Welcome Corps, and just to ground us in the information around this program. So in January 2023, the U.S. Department of State, in coordination with the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, launched the Welcome Corps, a new refugee private sponsorship initiative under the U.S. Refugee Admission Program. The Welcome Corps is a public-private partnership inspired by what America represents to so many around the world, a beacon of hope and refuge. The program builds on interest we have seen over the last 2 years as private Americans who have stepped up to support Afghans, Ukrainians, and others vulnerable population in the United States. The program, administrated by a consortium led by the Community Sponsorship Hub, with funding provided by the U.S. government, And there are 6 organizations that are part of the consortium. And you see the organization's logo up in the screen. And we have today Welcome.us as one of the leading consortium members as speakers from that organization today. The Welcome Corps is part of the official U.S. refugee admission program for refugees who have been forced to flee their countries, cannot safely return home, and require permanent resettlement. Refugees' participation in the Welcome Corps go through the same steps as all other refugee applicants. The program is not a fast track to the resettlement in the United States. We consider the Welcome Corps to be the boldest innovation in the United States approach to refugee resettlement in 4 decades. The Welcome Corps is a key tool in the strategy to expand our country's domestic capacity to welcome refugees. Inviting Americans to participate directly in the resettlement experience will help us meet the President's ambitious goal of admitting 125,000 refugees each fiscal year, and to extend our welcome to greatest number of refugees in the need of protection. To learn more about the Welcome Corps, through the program, Americans work in a group of at least 5 to welcome refugee newcomers by securing and preparing initial housing, greeting them at the airport, and enrolling children in school, and helping adults to find employments. Sponsor groups commit to providing services akin to what resettlement agency provides for a minimum of 90 days. As part of the application process, sponsors complete training and other requirements, undergo background checks, and raise funds to support the initial resettlement period. And the sponsors also must raise the equivalent amount of in-kind or cash support for every refugee sponsored in the United States. That amount actually reflects what the United States government provide to resettlement agency, which is $2,425. And most of these funds will not be given directly to refugees, but rather spent on their behalf by the private sponsorship group, for example, on housing or to purchase items to help them get settled. Private sponsorship group are also required to give a small amount of cash directly to refugees to have on-hand support for everyday expense. Sponsorship is a serious commitment, as you have heard, and it has a lot of requirements, but sponsors do not go through this journey alone. And I'm sharing more about who support these sponsors in the process. Along the way, the Welcome Corps provides private sponsors with access to tools and resources, as well as ongoing guidance from resettlement experts. Every private sponsor group can be matched with a private sponsorship organization, a nonprofit that has demonstrated experience in providing integration support to newcomers and will offer assistance and coaching to sponsors in navigating the sponsorship process from beginning to end. And these organizations can help private sponsor groups with tasks like apartment setup, navigating public benefits in their state and community, and more. Like an example, the Refugee Welcome Collective, for example, which is a member of the consortium and a project of Church World Service, is funded to provide technical assistance and resources to help sponsor find information about the state and local program and benefits for refugees. To date, we have 25 private sponsorship organizations, including some resettlement agencies that have volunteered to partner with private sponsorship groups. Many of these organizations also lend their expertise and perspectives from working with a specific vulnerable refugee population, such as diaspora groups, LGBTQI refugees, and more. And the Community Sponsorship Hub has a separate certification process for private sponsorship organization. So if you are an organization and you would like to be joining as private sponsorship organization, let us know and we will be able to help you in the process. We also have 2 specialized pathways within the Welcome Corps for higher education sponsorship and labor sponsorship. And really quickly, I'm going to go over the Welcome Corps on Campus, which was launched in July this year, initiative which allow qualified refugee students to continue their higher education in the United States while being sponsored by members of the new of their new campus community. Refugee students participating in this first of its kind program will be processed through the U.S. refugee admission program, meaning they will have a pathway to permanent residency and citizenship in the United States. This is a different program from the F1 student visa process, which is a non-immigrant visa requiring students plan to depart the United States at the end of their studies. We plan to welcome the first students through the U.S. Refugee Admission Program and the Welcome Corps on campus in the beginning of the fall in 2024. While the pilot initially focuses on refugee youth living in Kenya and Jordan, we plan to expand our geographic scope in the upcoming years. So what we are celebrating up to date. We are proud of the progress we have made within the Welcome Corps and the interest so far. More than 60,000 individuals from across the country have signed up to learn more about the refugee sponsorship through the Welcome Corps. We welcomed the first refugee arrival through the Welcome Corps on World Refugee Day this year in June, less than 6 months after the launching of the program. Private sponsor groups have formed in more than 30 states, with more applying every week. And the Welcome Corps is designated so that private sponsor groups are either matched with a refugee they do not know, or in the near future will be able to request to sponsor refugees that they do know, which we call naming. So to reiterate, we have 2 tracks through the Welcome Corps, matching and naming. And I can go through like more details, but I really want to start learning more about the Dining for Refugee Toolkit, and we will be happy to answer more about the Welcome Corps program if people have any questions in the Q&A session. So I want to give it to Daniela from the Welcome.US team to really share more about the Dine for Refugees Toolkit and how people could take part in the upcoming months in Dine for Refugees. So I will turn it to Daniela.
Thank you so much, Basma, and thank you for your beautiful words in the opening about the significance of having a meal together and sharing a meal and sharing your soul with each other. So as Basma mentioned too, the Welcome Corps is a new service opportunity for Americans who are inspired to welcome refugees seeking, of course, freedom and safety. It's very much a community-driven refugee sponsorship opportunity. So we recognize the need to connect with our community in order to be able to find sponsors and to develop these tools that really will facilitate this process. So today I'm really excited to introduce one of the tools that we have developed, which is the Dine for Refugees Toolkit. Next slide, please. So, no, sorry, the one before. Thank you. Yes. So this toolkit is not only a tool, but it's really a movement that we're trying to build to launch that will encourage everyone to have conversations about extending a warm welcome and offering a home to newcomers. I really imagine it as a bridge connecting individuals within their communities and really making it easier for potential sponsors and anyone passionate about spreading the word about the Welcome Corps to do so. So Dine for Refugees is really a call to action, a platform for us to share our stories of wonderful meals, foster empathy, and really collectively create a sense of welcoming within our communities. We hope to see at least 50 community dinners nationwide by the end of this year, but the campaign will continue. So if 2023 seems like the end is too near already, 2024 is also a time when you can get together and share a meal with your community. The main objectives for us is to really engage people in dialogue so they can come and share their experience and what it means for each of us to feel welcome. We hope to foster the sense of empathy, understanding, and the community involvement. So really to bring together people in warm and welcoming spaces. Of course, one of the main goals is also to raise awareness about the Welcome Corps. We want people to know about this opportunity to talk and get together, discuss the importance and positive impact that this community has, not only on refugee newcomers who need the help to find a path to safety here in the United States, but also the impact it has on welcoming communities. And ultimately, we really hope that these conversations will lead to people taking the next steps in their journey and commitment to refugee sponsorship. Now, next slide, please. So when you open the Dine for Refugee toolkit, this is what you'll see. This is the cover page. It is a PDF document that is right now available on the Welcome Corps website, so anyone can have access to it. We'll put the link to it in the chat later on, but this is how it looks like. And the following page is a table of contents, which you'll see in the next slide. As you can see, there's lots of content there to help you plan your dinner and your gathering. You will find support roles for those who are involved in planning and hosting with you, in addition to like family, friends, and community who you can invite to participate in this initiative. And we also created sample materials like an invitation email, thank you note, and a conversation guide as well, which is my favorite part of this toolkit. So I'll review some of those with you right now to really get you in a good place to start planning your dinner. So here it is. Let's start planning. We'll find a place, of course, and set a time. When you do that, take into consideration, of course, your guests and their availability. Dinner, dine, the word dine always, to me, sounds like dinner. So I think it's nighttime. Don't feel like it has to be a dinner. You can invite people for tea time, for a brunch, a breakfast. It really is up to you. This is your event. And we're just really trying to make things easier for you to reach out to your community and get together. You invite your guests. So we usually consider 5 to 12 guests to be a good number and size for your gathering. When you make up your list, think of your friends and family and people who you know are involved in other volunteer or civic service activities. They're usually form a good guest list. Members of your church, mosque, other faith groups, civic or community organizations would also be wonderful guests. So it's really up to you for who you reach out to together and share a meal. We hear from many people who are interested in becoming a sponsor and joining the Welcome Corps that sometimes forming a group is a struggle. It'd be either like matching or naming that is soon to come, like Basma mentioned. Sometimes you have someone you want to name and you're already trying to plan for it, but you have not yet found others to join the group with you. This is a great moment to connect and really bring people together. So you're ready for when it does come live. And I know it does feel challenging. Sometimes you're new to your community, you don't know many people there are no connections, and it feels a little bit challenging to engage people in such a big ask that is the Welcome Corps. So this toolkit is really here to help you get the conversation started. After that, we set an agenda. The agenda is really, it's in the toolkit. It's pretty detailed with times in which you can do certain things. It's really a guidance for making things easier for you who are hosting the dinner, to make sure there's time for introductions, discussion, and enjoy your meal together, of course. So take that as a suggestion. It's helpful to define roles. So in addition to the agenda, you will have help. Make sure you get lots of help. We suggest we have someone help set up and then clean up, someone coordinating the food. We don't mean for this to be an entire meal that you cook for your entire neighborhood. We want people to share their traditions, to share their favorite dishes. So we highly recommend you make this a potluck. So invite your guests and tell them, bring something that is meaningful to you, to this potluck event. And it's so wonderful to learn more about people through their culture and their dishes and their favorite things to eat. So that's our recommendation. So it shares a little bit of like the prep and cooking around this gathering. And finally, I want to make sure you have someone who will take photos. We would love to see your photos. Please get people's consent to be in the photos, and release form is also in the toolkit for you to use. And we made it easy for you by also giving sample materials that are in the next slide. There you go. This is just straight out of the toolkit, so you can have a quick glance here on what the sample materials look like. There is a sample invitation email. There's a link on it that you can see there that will take you to a Google document that makes it easier for you to copy and paste into wherever you want. So you don't have to worry about getting this text retyped from our PDF. So again, to make it very convenient for you to create your own invitations in email. So next slide, please. It's finally here. You picked the venue, a date, you invited everyone, you set up your crew to help, you're ready, you have an agenda, you know how things are going to go, and now people show up. And what? How do I approach people? How do I make the dialogue happen? How is this going to go? I know that can create a little bit of anxiety if you're a little bit more of an introvert or ambivert, like I like to call myself. But here's where the conversation guide comes in. And again, I love these questions. I feel like they're a very natural way to start conversation about where people come from, what is meaningful to them. If it's a potluck, people can share a little bit about what they brought and the significance of their dish for them, for their family, for their culture or community. We can ask people what their favorite meal is, if it's something their family makes together, or what memories does it bring to them. We can ask people what makes them feel welcome in new spaces. We all have been to new spaces and new situations, and what makes you feel at ease, what makes you feel that you really belong and you're welcomed in a certain place. So these are, as you see, these are not conversations that will jump straight into let's sponsor refugees. I think making that connection with people is really important. And don't forget to tell them your why too. You have a reason why you were involved in community sponsorship and on private sponsorship of refugees. It's important, like we found that storytelling is just such a powerful, incredible tool to spark interest and move people from being aware of a sponsorship program to really acting and wanting to become part of this effort. So I'm sure people in your community will love to hear your story and engaging in why you took this path and why you're so passionate about it. So in addition to these wonderful questions in the conversation guide, make sure to share your own questions. We added other resources as well. So there are videos there. There is, I know that a lot of you in this audience are familiar with the Welcome Core and you know a lot about the program, but if you need a refresher or if you need more information, this list of resources will give you lots to draw from. If you want to feel more comfortable about talking about the Welcome Core, please use these. If you're inclined to show a video or something like that during your gathering, there are also links there for like stories of welcome and other videos that you can use and show during your gathering for as a conversation starter as well. So we really want to make sure you feel supported in this Welcome Core journey. Basma mentioned all the support you get along the way. And there are many, many other resources available. We're happy to continue sharing these with you. So just contact us if you have any questions. Next slide, please, is about, of course, letting us know about how it all went. We would love to know. We would love to know if you're planning one, but definitely after you have your gathering, there is a report back form in the toolkit, and there's a link to a Google form that makes it very easy for you to just fill it out on the Google form and attach your pictures with the release form consent also for people who are in those pictures. And finally, this is only the beginning. So we want people to like start these conversations, and we think this welcome, this Dine for Refugee guide is it's going to help you start and spark that interest. But once you have people who have maybe committed to, yes, this is something I'm really interested in, I want to know what the next step is, there are the other toolkits and assets that we have already created that are available in our website that I'm happy to share the link with you as well. One of them is this private sponsor group startup kit. So that will tell you how to start your group, how to stay informed, spread the word, which is something that you're already doing by hosting your meal and your dinner. You're already implementing this toolkit, sharing your why. There is also simple private sponsor group structure and roles. So just like you had your structure and your role for your dinner, you're going to have that structure in your private sponsor group. So you're going to have people in charge of forms and documentations, and other people starting making other connections within the community. So that is all available in our website in that toolkit as well. And finally, if you want to spread the word about the Welcome Core, we have social media tools available for you that, again, just like our sample emails, make it easy for you to take what's there with the text and share in your channels. And we would love for you to help us amplify this important program and the message of welcoming refugees, newcomers in our communities. So I'll leave it there. Happy to answer any questions. And I think it's back to you, right, Basma?
Yes, I think before I take it back, I have a question to you, Daniela. What is your favorite meal or dish?
I wouldn't say like a meal exactly, but when I was writing this, I was like, okay, what would I bring? And I would definitely bring pão de queijo. So I'm from Brazil, and pão de queijo is a little cheese bread snack that it's just my favorite thing to eat in the world. And it's very simple. It's made out of like tapioca flour and a type of cheese that you can't really find in other places, but it's like, I would say, yeah, you can replace it with Parmesan, but the cheese in Brazil is not Parmesan. But that's something I always bring because it's a crowd pleaser. People love pão de queijo. And it's one of those things that I eat and I just like feel the comfort of home because it's especially freshly baked. So you can't always accomplish that in a potluck, but right out the oven, wonderful. Thank you for asking that, Basma.
Of course, Mana, any favorite dish you are planning to prepare for the holiday?
Great question, Basma. I'm actually hosting a Friendsgiving where a lot of this weekend, where a lot of the content from the toolkit will be topics of conversation. And I'm making my favorite dish. It's a lot of work, so it only happens once a year, but it's a traditional Iranian dish called mirza ghasemi. It's made with charred eggplant and a lot of garlic and tomato. And it's really delicious, but the charred eggplant is an undertaking. So I'm looking forward to having it this weekend, knowing it'll probably be another year before it appears on my table.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, I love food. So I'm still thinking what I will be cooking. But my favorite dish, which I don't cook ever because it's really hard, is dolma. And it's one of the best Iraqi dish. I think all of the Middle East every country say that's our dish, which nothing wrong with that. I think I just like the Iraqi version of it because my mom cooked very well. So I think I would like also to share some of the good practices we have around our event that we are planning in Jacksonville. And if any of the audience in Jacksonville, you are more than welcome to attend it. So I think for us, really the journey has been so inspiring and collaborative. We started actually, I started reaching out to friends who have been champions in welcoming refugees. One of them who I consider have been my sponsor and mentor. And became a friend. I came to the US as a refugee back in 2010. So this mentor became a friend to me, and now we are actually doing the Dine for Refugee event together in Jacksonville. After we agreed on our goal and what we want to do for the event, we start brainstorming who we want to invite in the event. So we really thought about selecting leaders who really have been volunteered in the field, or really have professional in the humanitarian field. And one of the groups were part of the Alumni of Leadership Jacksonville, which is a program was established in the 1976, and every year have been graduating a group of 50 to 60 leaders in Jacksonville. So I am an alumni of the program, and I have reached out to my alumni, inviting them to the dinner. So we started doing the outreach, and after that we found the place and the time, and we now talking about who gonna bring what to the event. As Daniela shared, we don't want you to end up being the one cooking for the group. We want to make sure that it's a potluck and everyone bring the taste of their home and culture. Some of the people who I have been talking to who are organizing their events have also asked, could we do it in a virtual setting? Because many people traveling during the holiday season, and we still want to gather with our community. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Gathering in a virtual setting will not be any problem. I think in any way, you just want to make sure that the space is safe and inclusive of the community that you are bringing together, and thinking that the community you are bringing together should be close to each other in the same city. So when you are ending up talking about the sponsorship and creating your group of 5+, you are all close to each other and supporting each other in the sponsorship journey. I'm happy to answer any question about our events, or if there's any tips that we can share with you as you are planning your own event. And with that being said, I want to take it back to Mana. Mana, you have done some work like that in last year, and we would love to hear about the learning from there and some examples that really resonate with you that our audience could learn from.
Yes, of course. Thank you so much, Basma. So as you mentioned, we shared a similar toolkit with our welcomer community at welcome.us last year during the holiday season. So exactly a year ago this month. And we received some very positive feedback from the sponsors who use the content to host events in their community. So I just wanted to share a little bit of that with you. I think one of the most interesting things for us was the variety of events that took place and how creative people got in bringing their community together to learn about sponsorship. You know, as Basma was saying, it really is meant to be a tool that can be used to make it work for your friend group, your network, your community. And even though the content really is meant to be a template and a guide, there isn't, you know, a one-size-fits-all event for everyone. So, of course, many people use the content of the toolkit to lead conversations at their traditional holiday gatherings that they were already planning, and as I'm planning to do this weekend at my Friendsgiving party. But others took the opportunity to seek out new touch points, and that was everything from very casual lunchtime gatherings in their workplace where, you know, the one person convened the potluck and everybody brought a dish and they shared their stories right in the office, to breakfasts or lunches at their places of worship, to even plugging into events related to other activities people were already a part of. So on the back end of a book club meeting, or with a running team or workout group, you know, making it a coffee after the workout session was done and convening this conversation. And I think the through line in all of the stories that were shared back with us was that gathering for a meal or a coffee or, you know, pastries very much creates a safe space for people to learn from each other and to hear each other's stories. And those stories go a long, long way in creating lasting connections that have a lot of power when they are put to use for the greater good of creating a welcoming community. And I know that I'm biased because of what I do for a living, but I will say it over and over again. Never, ever underestimate the power of storytelling for breaking down barriers and for making a lasting impact. It gives people something to think about for a long time once that event or encounter or touch point has come to an end. And I think another very important takeaway from our experience with the toolkit last year was that many of these conversations and these gatherings led to people being able to find helpers within their network. So these were folks who perhaps weren't quite ready to become sponsors themselves, but they had the time, the skills, the resources to support others in their sponsor journey. And many people were able to take the ideas that they learned about, during their Dine event to their employers or other organizations that they are members of, and they were able to unlock additional support from them in new ways. And another very valuable learning for us was that for many of the refugee newcomers who participated in these events, it was an opportunity to meet new friends and neighbors and community members who have gone on to become enduring friends and relationships and important members of their support network. And they were able to expand their support circle beyond their immediate sponsor circle. And that is very, very important. When you're new to a community, you're new to a country, you've left the community that you grew up with behind. Having these opportunities to find new community and cultivate those bonds is something that can have a generational impact for many years to come. And just to reiterate something that Daniela touched on briefly during her remarks, even though we launched this toolkit for the holiday season, because we know this is the time many communities are already planning gatherings, the content really is evergreen. Many people in our Welcomer community use the toolkit to plan events later in the year, including around the Memorial Day and 4th of July holidays. And some of that was driven by the fact that the newcomers they were supporting were still new arrivals last year at this time, and they were not quite ready to share their stories, but that changed as the months went by, and they were eager to have that interaction. And others found that their holiday schedule was already very full, so it made more sense for them to plan an event later in the year, and they had great success with that. So I hope you take some time to review the toolkit and think about how you can bring some of these ideas to life in your community. Basma, I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you so much, Mana. I think your words resonate, and there are a couple of things. I really love the ideas that people can do it in during their lunch hour, or they can do it and really have it as part of any ongoing activities and bring a new conversation to these spaces. I also have heard from one of the partners that is it just Dine for refugees? Could it be Dine with refugees? So I also invite people to really bring refugees and immigrants communities who have been welcomed before in your community, really to inspire and uplift how this community have been generous and welcomed us before, and how we are ready to be part of this fabric of welcoming. So I think you can do so much with the toolkit, really depending on how much creative you could be, surprise us and inspire us. And really, we are excited to see how many conversations and how many Dine for refugees with refugees will be happening from now until the end of the year, and to Mana and Daniela's point, even early next year, to get the word out and to make sure more Americans really step in to sponsor refugees and welcome them in their new home. I know that some of the questions we have been receiving, it's being answered in the Q&A session. Thank you to Stephanie and Beza who have been working on that. If the questions around the eligibility criteria of phase of the second phase, which is the naming, or around the timing when it will be launched. What we can say now, it will be hopefully launched before the end of 2023. Stay tuned. Join our next community conversation. Hopefully we will have more information by then. Just stick with us, and we will make sure that you are the first to hear about the eligibility criteria for the naming, and also about when is the launch of the portal will be open as well. But if you have any questions about the Dine for Refugee toolkit and events, you can find the toolkit on the website. And also, I think our team have shared it in the chat as well. And if you have any question about the Welcome Corps program, feel free to reach to our, I think it's contact@welcomecorps.org email. I hope I said it right, but also we will make sure we put it in the chat for you as well. We can spend the next 3 minutes to see if there is any questions comes around the Dine for Refugees. And if not, I think it's always good to give you 15 minutes of your time back. Yeah, it's contact@welcomecorps.org. So if you have any questions about any of the things we talked about today, please reach out to contact@welcomecorps.org. I don't know, Daniela, Mana, any last word while we are waiting to receive any questions in the next 3 minutes?
Not for me. It's just the talk of food, and I haven't had lunch yet. I'm like, I would love to try Mana's dish now, which sounds very difficult to do. But I think you have said once that you can buy the canned version of the eggplant. Does that do it justice or no?
Yes, as you can tell, Basma, we talk about food a lot on welcome.us Slack. It's actually, yes, it's a hack that I learned from my sister-in-law. She will disown me if I reveal that she's the source. But they do sell charred eggplant in a jar. It's not quite the same, but I think you can get away with it.
My mom will have me in trouble if I bring the word can anywhere.
I know, same. So neither my sister-in-law or I can actually, admit to knowing that this hack exists, but it's out there.
Okay,
but you know what? You
now.
do what you need to do. Yeah, this is exciting. I think definitely we will give you the rest of the 15 minutes of your time back to you. Thank you so much for attending and for joining us. The recording and the slide will be shared with you after. We are really excited to see many of you step in to do your local events, and we are here to support you in this journey. Thank you so much for attending and for supporting and for continuing to show up to the community that you are welcoming locally. And we look forward to see you in the next community conversation next month, hopefully with more information and updates from Welcome Corps. Thank you so much and have a great day.